I can see that you are in high spirits, and I would have no reason to want to doubt that. I would want to request that if you have the last gossip with the person seated next to you, do so, but not in such a tone that would disturb the proceedings here. So it should be on a hushed tone. And on another matter, make sure that the person seated next to you has their cell phone on silent or switched off. Because if it's not so, I'm going to hold you responsible for the phone of the person seated next to you ringing and disrupting the proceedings. I know that you want to know who my name is. Certainly, you want to know who I am. My name is Risenga Maluleke. I will keep on repeating my name until, don't call me Rasitenge Mayilula, Risenga Maluleke, please. Make it easy. You better have a pen and a paper to start writing down. Risenga Maluleke is spelled as in R-I-S-E-N-G-A. I'm finished spelling and I don't repeat spellings. Now, very soon, the minister and other dignitaries, and I'm not saying those of us who are here are not dignitaries, will be joining us. Now, for purposes of such, I'm going to ask you to rise. And as I do so, if the person seated next to you doesn't rise, I'll hold you responsible. So please make sure the person seated next to you does rise. And in the event I happen to skip some of you by recognizing you by name, let me up front declare that I have recognized you. And at any given moment, when I say distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm referring to all of you. So please take note of that. Don't hesitate when I say distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to raise your hand. All the time I say that. Don't hesitate. I mean, we're living in a free world. What more do you want to hear? A story from the village? If you want to hear the story from the village, please make sure all the people that are streaming in are seated. If you do me that favor, I will start. That phone. Who is seated next? No, not the one whose phone is ringing. The one seated on the side, in the front, and at the back. I hold them responsible. Now, when the phone started ringing, everyone was pointing at the other person seated next to them. We have learners, by the way, here. The learners today have accepted the status of being distinguished people. So when I say distinguished people, I include them. And the one interesting thing is that the learners and I have an agreement that they have a lot of smiles to give me. I have to take instructions at times, so I have to take the last instructions because everything I'm doing, they have to drill me through, otherwise I tend to forget. So let me take the last instructions and I'm back to join you. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start. I'm just worried that I still see some movements. And for those who are managing the door, if some people haven't gotten inside, may I request that we manage no movements. I want to be, especially here, and this side and that side, I need to have the passages clear. When I announced the arrival of the minister is Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Jeff Radebe. Don't worry about the name. I will help you memorize that after the meeting. When I announce, I will request that we all rise. He will be leading the high-level table that will be joining us here. But my worry is that those at the back are not closing the door, so I still see movements. If I see movements, I'm getting worried. May I request that we take no more persons coming in so that we can start with the program, and then once the program has started, for those people who want to do movements, we can allow that. But let me make sure that everyone is seated. Those who are managing the door are not managing the door. I'm going to start calling people by name because one of the responsibilities of the program director is not only to direct the program, but it's also to be a dictator in times when we have a crisis. And as if there happens to be a crisis, I'm the only one who will be dictating the terms here. So make it easy for me. And all the people who are seated here, all the honorables and the distinguished guests, they are already relaxed. Only the people who are managing the door are not doing their work. So when you are asked to guard sentry, don't desert sentry. Those people who are managing the door, there's no way you can manage the door from inside. Someone must stand outside and block the people from coming in. Otherwise, I'll ask you to come and run the program and I come and manage the door. That's how a dictator I can be. May I request that you take your last laughter? It's as silent as, please, just, yeah, I wanted that. Because sometimes a room cannot be as silent as, to an extent we can cut it with a knife. It shouldn't be like that. We should make it a lot more easier. Yeah. Who is responsible for that phone? Can I know who's seated next to who? That phone again. May I request people to keep their phones on silent or switch them off? It's a request that I'm making, and there will be times that I will not be able to plead, so I will go to that dictatorship. The door this side is not being managed. I see movements. May I request that those who are managing the doors come and run the program, and then I go and manage the doors. And now they tempt me with fate I cannot resist, because amongst the people that they're allowing to come in are my friends and my former teachers and my former professors. Now they make it so difficult, and I have to prove that I have learned all protocols and etiquette with the respect that I give to my former teachers and former professors. So I have to have all the respect that I show all times. We were waiting for the last two people to take their stations. And there's someone under this podium who's giving me notes. So they're busy telling me who is the last one in. So now I think I should expect that we start rolling with the program. anytime we will receive the team that is led by the Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of South Africa. As long as the people who are managing the doors are still allowing people to come in, we will not be able to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of South Africa, may we please rise. Kindly be seated. Minister in the Presidency for the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Jeff Radebe, Mr. Hu Hongbo, Under Secretary General for the United Nations, responsible for the Department of Economic and Social, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Of course, I will be remiss if I do not note the presence of Mr. Stefan Swinefest, who is the Director of the United Nations Statistics Division. Let me note again His Excellency, Mr. Michael Gerber, who is a Senior Envoy responsible for Global Sustainable Development. Mr. Padile Huhla, the Statistician General of South Africa, and Ms. Zanthia Limberg, who is a member of the Mayoral Committee for the City of Cape Town. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Let me again assure you that we are going to make this program run as smoothly as possible. But why should we run it as smoothly as possible? It's because we are gathered here to deal with matters of measurement in the name of the first United Nations World Data Forum. The 46th session of the United Nations Statistics Commission, as well as the 47th session, have gone on to direct us as the world to ensure that we make this World Data Forum happen. And the high-level group that deals with matters of partnerships, coordination, and capacity building had to put operations of this World Data Forum. Now, of course, it wouldn't be enough if we had been unable ourselves to register to come down to Cape Town and ensure that this World Data Forum happens. So on that note, don't we deserve a round of applause? At this point in time, let me again invite the learners to deal with matters of the flag ceremony. Choir, may you please get ready from that side. I will invite you as soon as the learners have gone to stand by a respective flag and a group of flags that they've been allocated to. I will invite the choir to render the national anthem of the Republic of South Africa. And of course, let us have the guard of sentry for the flags of the United Nations, as well as those of that of the host country, the Republic of South Africa. I have the learners here standing next to me. A round of applause for that. I know, ladies and gentlemen, I've promised that when the program goes out of control, I will not run it as a program director. I will sometimes dictate. But whenever you want to give us a round of applause, let me not be a dictator. Feel free to do so. I have been advised that there are still a lot of people outside who we should allow to stream in. At this point in time, let those who manage the doors allow people who have remained outside to stream in. And as they do so, I'm going to tell you a story from the village. And I know we were together in 2003 in Western Cape here, at the Golden Tulip Hotel, when we dealt with matters of the national statistics systems of our respective countries. Please, those who are streaming in, may we do so quietly so that we don't disrupt the program from proceeding. Those who manage the door, the doors, may you advise them to do so? Yeah, please. Now, we met again in 2005, right at this international conference center for the Commonwealth Conference of Statisticians. We met again in 2009 for the 56th session of the International Institute of Statistics. And we did meet again in 2006 for the inaugural meeting of the Africa Symposium on Statistical Development. And when we did so, you had asked me by popular vote that I become the master of ceremonies. Who can dispute that? And because we are statisticians, we do use samples. There are those of you who will hear stories that I will tell that I've said before. But it's in the nature of measurement. And because we have those of us who deal with matters of computers, there are those of you who will hear stories that computers keep on reminding us because they come up when we recall data. Now, on this note, we know in one of those nations that are close to the sea, there was a boat that was about to sink. And as it was about to do so, they decided to ask people to jump off in alphabetic order. So they started from A. so that the boat doesn't sink. So a few people had to jump off to save the lives of many. And I guess many of us would have jumped off from here to save the lives of many. Now they started in alphabetic order, A to Z. They said A, so they said Africans. None of the people jumped out. They said blacks. None of the people jumped out. And before they went to the sea, there was a little girl who was seated with her father there, and her mother said, Daddy, 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 let's jump out. They said Africans. Now I know you didn't lead the jump. Now they've said blacks. Let's jump. And the father turned around and said, my daughter, today we are South Africans. May you join me in the note that today we are South Africans as we mark the first United Nations World Data Forum. And then on that note, let me invite the choir to stream to the stage and lead us on the national anthem of the Republic of South Africa, on which note I will request all of us to rise.
Kusisikaneli Afrika, malupakanisu pondolwayo, izwa imitandazo yetu. Kusisikelela Atila, lusapolwayo, morena buluka sichaba saesu. Oseboloke, si chabasa, Yesu, si chabasa, South Africa, South Africa. Eti van onze hemel, eti diepte van ons ziel, oor ons eeuwige gebergtes, waar die kraanse antwoord geeft. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land.
Please be seated. And as the choir streams out, we do not want to punish our learners. The children are our future. They will equally stream out. They will come back to their stations later. But they've just whispered to me that they are hungry and they are thirsty. May the world feed the children in the name of the World Data Forum. Minister in the Presidency for the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Jeff Radebe, Mr. Hu Hongbo, Under Secretary General for the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I present the audiovisuals of the United Nations, followed by those of South Africa.
I'm going to Cape Town.
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 Because it will be a historic event that brings together everyone who cares about data.
Because I want to see innovation in data and innovation in partnerships.
Because I'm committed to make data work for development.
Because I want to find ways to put the data in the hands of ordinary people to help them understand the world.
Because I want to advocate for open data that is accessible to all.
I want more support and resources for national statistical systems, especially in the poorest countries.
Because I want to help develop statistical literacy and find ways to boost data capacity and literacy amongst all users.
Because I believe data can really improve people's lives.
And I'm going to Cape Town because I'm looking forward to meeting the global data family.
Because I want to cooperate on data governance and standards so that the data we all collect are comparable and can adapt to the big picture.
So I'm very excited to come to Cape Town in January to meet people who are also engaged with spreading a fact-based worldview.
Because for the SDGs, leave no one behind, require good data.
We need new solutions to bring data from all parts of society and integrate all different data sources.
See you in South Africa.
A conduit of trust. Let me share with you a narrative on political statistics and statistical politics of South Africa. At this auspicious World Data Forum, the very first in our history. The political statistics of this our beautiful country are best captured by our country's statistical politics. Look through this window of time to catch a glimpse of South Africa's political statistics. Did you know the political statistics that from 1910 South Africa has had 13 heads of state? Did you know that 9 of these served a colonial state of the Union? Did you know that 4 of these led an apartheid state? Did you know since April 1994, South Africa rid itself of apartheid? Did you know with President Mandela being the first democratically elected president, South Africa post-democracy has had 4 presidents? These are the political statistics of South Africa. What about statistical politics? Through statistics, we are able to capture the political, economic, and social life. We are, in short, able to deliver a development narrative across space and time. Allow me to take you through this meandering road of statistical politics, which at times display the ugly contours that mark our colonial and apartheid history. The story is best told by the story of our population counts, the first of which was in the Cape Colony in 1789. After the formation of the Union in 1910, 8 censuses were conducted up to 1951. These censuses, save for a few, covered exclusively the white population, starting with the 1911, 1918, 1921, 1926, 1931, 1936, 1941, and the one held in 1951. This characterized the tumultuous nature of our politics of colonialism and apartheid. Underpinning the design of apartheid is Prime Minister Verwoerd's statement when addressing Parliament in 1953 when he said, "What is the use of teaching a Bantu child mathematics when he cannot use it in practice? But the people's will cannot be undermined and their quest for freedom cannot be extinguished. And like fire, it engulfs communities, society, nations, and unites the world." This is the story of South Africa. This is the story of South Africa's liberation and the story of Nelson Mandela.
But we do at last have results with which we can work. Numbers that count for the nation.
Receiving census 1996 results, Nelson Mandela captures the political statistic. His was to craft a state that will ensure that the numbers and the statistics are in the service of the nation. The minister in the presidency, Jeff Radebe, captures why numbers are in the service of democracy.
So with information, as I've said, information is freedom.
Following on President Nelson Mandela was President Mbeki, who ensured that he signed a new statistical statute that cured our statistics of the apartheid past. It was indeed, in the words of Trevor Manuel, the then Minister of Finance, addressing statisticians and embedding the authority of numbers when he said,
"I'd like to be able to say we are now at full employment, that our economy is growing at 15% a year. I'd like those kinds of things. But please don't give me what I like, give me what I need, because part of what I need to do is to help deliver democracy to people who've waited a long time for it to touch their lives."
In this period, the census of 2001 was conducted, as well as the community survey. President Mbeki was followed by President Motlante's short stint, after which President Zuma in 2009 was inaugurated into office. And indeed, the statistical system continued to grow from strength to strength. And the World Cup of Statistics, the 57th session of the ISI, was held here in South Africa. Who amongst you can forget that memorable occasion?
You are assembled here because you seek solutions to the challenges that affect the world today. We are confident that this conference will respond positively to the needs of the peoples of the world. It will make a significant contribution to the fight against poverty and hunger and the ongoing struggle for peace, stability, and development.
Our journey to Cape Town has had a number of reflection points. The first, the report on data revolution, and the second is an outreach program on data revolution conducted here in South Africa. Minister in the Presidency of South Africa, Honorable Jeff Radebe, Ms. Amina Mohammed, Professor Enrico Giovannini, and Padilo Hutla led the outreach. Therefore, as we assemble here in Cape Town today, we remind ourselves, in the words of Jeff Radebe, that
without statistics and targets, which is held by States SA, will not be able to measure the progress that we are making as South Africa in order to attain those goals of 2030.
As we look ahead at the implementation of sustainable development goals, let us remind ourselves of the indicators and the targets and the measurements that accompany them. South Africa is a serious partner on meta statistics. Not only does it see legislative reform as a crucial component of institution building, but the government of South Africa has built a new home for Stats SA at Freedom Park, because South Africa believes that information is freedom and that statistics is a conduit of trust.
This institution must be the fountain of our freedom.
This is the South Africa I know, the home I understand.
That is the story of South Africa. And I can give you assurances that the minister in the presidency that we have seen on TV here is with us in person. May I, at this point in time, invite the minister in the presidency for the Republic of South Africa, as well as Mr. Hu, Under Secretary General for the United Nations, to lead their team upstage. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please have assurances of the highest order that when I promise, I deliver. I promised you the minister and Mr. Wu, as well as the statistician general and Mr. Stefan Swinefirst, and all of them are there. And of course, at this point in time, I would like to acknowledge the member of the Mayoral Council for the City of Cape Town, Ms. Zanthia Limberg. South Africa has 9 provinces. This province is one of them. And the City of Cape Town has to welcome us. And at this point in time, Ms. Zanthia Limberg, kindly welcome us.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Much appreciated. Good afternoon to all. Minister in the Presidency, Monitoring Evaluation, Minister Jeff Radebe, Statistician General, Dr. Pali Lahotla, UN Statistics Division Director, Stefan Schweinsfest, Under Secretary General for the for DISA, Mr. Wu Hongbu, Ambassador Kamu, President of UNGA, Dr. Peter Thompson, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Executive Mayor of the City of Cape Town, Alderman Patricia de Lille, I would like to extend a very, very warm welcome to our beautiful and glorious city. And I hope that while you are here, you get to experience some of its many, many wonders. It's an honor for me to deliver this opening remarks here at the first United Nations World Data Forum on Sustainable Development Goals, especially among such notable thought leaders in the sector. As most of you know, the intention of this platform is to intensify cooperation with various professional groups such as geospatial information managers, data scientists and users, as well as civil society stakeholders. And I'm proud that South Africa was selected as the host country for the very first forum. Tonight, we see more than probably 1,000 data experts from over 100 different countries coming together with the ambitious agenda of building a broad consensus as to how to harness the power of data for sustainable development. And this is something that the political leadership of the host city, Cape Town, are extremely passionate about. When Cape Town was selected as the World Design Capital for 2014, we set out to find ways in which we could use design to make government more transparent. In September 2014, the City of Cape Town took the groundbreaking decision to develop an open data portal as part of our efforts to become the first truly digital city in Africa. This is because there can be no dispute about the relationship between technology and development. We also believe that it is the responsibility of government to empower residents to hold their leaders accountable. And there is no better way to do this than to provide our residents with information and data. We have since seen that this has created an opportunity to increase transparency and inspire new levels of innovation. Since the launch of the portal in January 2015, we have released over 85 datasets in multiple formats. These include sets on our building footprints, tenders awarded, municipal arrears, My City bus routes, as well as most of our recent budgets. Our open data portal has generated great levels of interest among other cities and national departments, and the City of Cape Town has received numerous requests to share experience of our open data project with these interested parties. We have made our data sets available for events like hackathons and data challenges, and today some of our data is also being used in many applications and electronic tools. We have also partnered with researchers who have requested data identifying the benefits of public access centers when using our Smart Cape Library internet facilities. as this case study at the Harare Library in Khayelitsha. Our air quality data has been used in experiments which visualize and identify different environmental trends. And in March last year, we also accepted a membership invitation from the World Council on City Data, and we're excited to join this world-leading cities on this council. It's also an honor for us to be internationally recognized for finding and pursuing a way in which we can increase transparency for both broader social and economic benefit. With some of the best minds of governance in this room here for the duration of this conference, I personally look forward to the many other great ideas that I'm sure will be born from this conference. And in the city of Cape Town, we believe that sustainable progress can only be made when we work together. So may our ties, relationships, programs, and delivery be strengthened by this gathering. I thank you very much.
Thank you again, Ms. Xanthia Lindbergh, standing for the mayor of the city of Cape Town. We call the city of Cape Town the mother city. We have different names for our cities in South Africa. The city of Johannesburg is called the City of Gold, noting that gold was discovered there in 1886. If you want more about history, I will tell you more. But for now, we have the choir, not the choir, we have an entertainment, but by the Cape Malay Choir. Let's usher them in. They didn't want... They didn't want to be waiting here. They asked me to allow them to file in because their performance is of high standards when they walk in and perform rather than when they wait here. So, over to you, choir, Cape Malay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Young Men's Sporting Club, a traditional Malay choir in Cape Town, and the song we're going to do for you is a song called Ruasa, and it is regarded as the national anthem of the Cape Malays here in Cape Town. Thank you. Enjoy.
Barama
Thank you again, choir. I know there are those who were looking for baritone, they got that. Those who were looking for bass, they got that. And there were searches for soprano and alto in the name of the voices of the choir. And they are, one of the things they promised me is that when they sing again, you will hear soprano and alto. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have a limitation. I do stammer, so please, if I stammer, do finish for me. But I'm going to invite for you speakers who will not stammer and stutter like I do. And at this point in time, let me invite the Statistician General of South Africa, Dr. Padile Hutla, to give us his remarks.
Master of ceremony, many of expected a yellow suit. At least they got the blue shoes. Honorable Minister Jeff Radebe, Minister in the Presidency responsible for planning, monitoring, and evaluation. Honorable Jeff Radebe, Minister responsible for statistics. Mr. Wu Hongbo, Under-Secretary of the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Your Excellency Michael Keber, Special Envoy for Global Sustainable Development, if you are in the audience. My brother Mr. Stefan Schweinfest, Director of United Nations Statistics Division. The Chair of Statistics Council of South Africa, Mr. Ben Patlele. I don't see gray hair here, but in absentia. Oh, he's here. The gray hair. Yes, it must be distinguished, I must see it. Ms. Zanthia Limbeck, member of the Mayoral Council, City of Cape Town. The MEC for the province of Gauteng, Mr. Jacob Mamabolo, I saw you, you are here, sir. Distinguished dignitaries and members of the diplomatic corps, non-government organizations, fellow statisticians, data technology scientists, financing houses, and all fraternities, and ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to thank the United Nations Secretary General to have so generously decided that South Africa hosts the very first United Nations World Data Forum. Again, allow me to thank Minister Radebe distinctly to have led the charge in Cabinet for South Africa to host this very first forum. Let me thank the program committee and its co-chairs to have come up with such an elaborate program. Stefan, my brother and friend, and your Secretariat of the United Nations Statistics Division, and my colleagues of high-level group, thank you to you all for deciding that South Africa hosts this very first forum. The staff of StatSA, you remain formidable. 6 months ago, we had and shared nightmares as regards the possibility of this function. That was when the award was made. But now the dreams are true, not the nightmares. Statistics is a conduit of trust. It is the most publicly transacted currency and therefore has to imbue trust. Statistics therefore has to be produced by those that, in the eyes and lived experiences of the community of practice and use, most importantly, can be trusted. Yet, as it is evident, trust falls like manna from heaven, only rarely. What has been then the journey? The United Nations Fundamental Principles of Official Statistics, particularly Principle 4, places the obligation to fight abuse and misrepresentation and misinterpretation of statistics on us, the chief statisticians. Some of my own experiences upon assuming duty as the Statistician General in 2000, I asked myself the question, how would I implement Principle 4, which says the chief statistician should pronounce without fear or favor on abuse of statistics? The question was, should I take a combative stance, a defensive stance, or an educative stance? But how would I know, given that first and foremost, I'm a statistician, and second, I understand technology through which we practice statistics. Third, I also understand logistics and complications of big operations such as undertakings of censuses and indeed any statistical operation. What informed me was at times the unease with procedures that got in the way and politicians who ask at times unreasonable questions. The order of priority was then statistics, technology and logistics, and governance and politics accounted for very little. But after burning my fingers a number of times with adverse audit outcomes, it was clear how the order had to be organized. By 2002, I had an answer, and an educative stance won the day. In the ordering then was first and importantly paying an arduous amount of time to understanding politics. Second, ensuring good governance, then logistics, technology, and finally statistics. And obviously, a fish need not be praised for swimming. So statistics must be the last in the order of our priorities. So from the 28th of September 2002, I started a weekly column in the Business Report, a national news daily paper. In the last 14 years, I've published no less than 750 weekly columns, and this contributed tremendously in building trust in statistics in South Africa. It is for this reason, amongst many others, that the world shared the burden of trust to Statistics South Africa, to, amongst others, host the Commonwealth Statistics Conference in 2005, the 57th session of the ISI in 2009, the very first United Nations World Data Forum we host today, and the 28th IUSSP session in this very venue in October, November this year. Statistics suffer the burden of public exposure and scrutiny, and this exposure is industry-wide. Left unprotected and left to self-regulation, bad elements of practice contaminate the system of statistics. As all of us chief statisticians or the statisticians general, we always experience the burden of this exposure, and we need to play a greater role of being agents of information that serve as educative instruments. It establishes presence of statistics where it is needed the most, builds public confidence in statistics, breeds critical thinking in society, deepens democracy, and builds institutional brand. So as the measurement arm of the Sustainable Development Goal SDGs take root, especially with the ebbs and flows of many emerging players in this space with technology, financing, and ideas, the need for thought leadership to exude statistics as a conduit of trust is more urgent. The most valued treasure of statistics use is time series. It is its museum value. Left to their own devices, the unfettered emergence of multitudes of players in the space is a fundamental threat to the practice of statistics, and the United Nations World Data Forum provides the space for organizing to preserve and sustain statistics time series for posterity, prosperity, through use and enjoyment by people and planet. We need to learn that use and practice of statistics, including emergence of other players, is possible when a statistician general takes an educative lead in terms of the United Nations fundamental principles of official statistics. This is especially holding fearlessly to Principle 4, addressing misuse and wrong interpretation of statistics. Being alive to the fact that the message and the messenger share a lot in common and therefore can rarely escape scrutiny, attack, gossip, ridicule, and indeed public approval. Minister, this is our message to you as you step to Davos tonight, where the world is discussing the fourth revolution. This congregation is seized with the wondrous task of the fourth revolution as an enabler of sustainable development, where planet, people, and prosperity coexist and is predictable. This is indeed the role of the World Data Forum to sensitize us to this historic mission. I thank you, Master of Ceremony.
Thank you again, Dr. Padile Husha, the Statistician General of South Africa, who we affectionately call him all over the world, Paddy. Some say Pali. Many of us in Southern Africa, we know it's pronounced Paddy, with like a D, with his mantra, intergovernmental relations on matters of data. And I know him and Stefan have had a lot of discussions on this matter, but it's not for me to tell you what Paddy and Stefan spoke about. It's for me at this point in time to invite Mr. Stefan Swinefirst, who is the Director of Statistics at the United Nations Statistics Division. He will make his remarks, and as part of common protocol and etiquette, he will accordingly invite Mr. Wu to the stage. We call Paddy the SG of South Africa. Mr. Wu is the Under-Secretary for Secretary General, SG of the United Nations. Stefan, you kindly address us.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. Yes, it's true that Pali and I have discussed so much that we are so synchronized now that even the colors of our ties now match. It just shows you the degree of preparation and synchronicity that we achieved on this common endeavor. Standing here, I would say, wow, I wish you could see yourself here at this moment. It is the first United Nations World Data Forum. You almost have to say it slowly to savor it. It's truly a historical moment. And we always said the most important word in this whole expression is forum. And the forum is you. You all made it to Cape Town, beautiful Cape Town in South Africa, and that is why we are having this amazing forum today. And it's very difficult not to get emotional about this. I think this is a very proud moment for all of us. We started, as Paddy said, 6 months ago with virtually no resources and not enough time. That was clear to all of us to embark on this journey. And here we are, over 1,000 participants for the first United Nations World Data Forum. And it is truly built on United Nations of goodwill, because a lot of you made significant contributions in the preparations in one form or another, either here in this beautiful country or abroad. And I'm really humbled by this and want to thank each and every one of you. I think the one thing that we all have in common and that drives us, that drove us here, is that we all care about good data and good statistics in support of development. Many things had to happen to bring us here, but I just want to focus on 3 powerful streams that had to come together here. That is Africa, South Africa, statistics, and the United Nations. And let me just say 1 or 2 sentences on each of them. Africa and South Africa, isn't this a beautiful warm welcome that they have prepared for us? I mean, today, and I mean warm literally. And I can tell you, when you come from the winter in New York City, coming to the summer of Cape Town is truly a warm, to the mother city is truly a warm welcome. And did you see those flags on the way from the airport? It always felt like we were coming to the World Cup of statistics, and in a way, we are. The second powerful stream that brought us here is statistics and data, and I'm personally very pleased to see so many familiar faces here. We always talk about the global statistical family, the global statistical community, and it's definitely very strongly represented here. But I have for myself one performance indicator. We want to extend that family. It's like a big, think of the World Data Forum as a big wedding ceremony. We want to bring in a lot more people into this family. And my performance indicator for this event is that I know even more people and have even more friends by the time it ends in a couple of days. So we want to make it the global data family. And the last powerful stream is the United Nations that I have been able to serve for the last 3 decades almost, my organization. And I'm very proud that this organization has taken the leadership for making this happen, because that's what the UN does. It brings everybody together, and by doing so, we have today this very rich program. And of course, the one to talk for the United Nations officially should not be me, but the highest UN representative in the room. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mr. Wu Hongbo, who for the last 5 years has been the Undersecretary General of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. And under his stewardship, the DESA, our department, has supported the negotiations that led to the 2030 agenda, which is the development agenda that we all are here to support and make successful. And I should say that he has not only been the Undersecretary General, he has not only been my boss on a day-to-day basis, he has also been a great supporter of the Statistics and Data Program, and I want to take this public opportunity to thank him for that, and now invite him to address you on behalf, formally and officially, of the United Nations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefan. I used to be a very poor student of mathematics, so I could only be the friend of mathematicians, not a mathematician itself. Your Excellency, Mr. Radibi, Your Excellency, Statistics General Lohala, the distinguished representative from the Madam Mayor of the city of Cape Town, Ms. Limba, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is really my great pleasure to be here, representing the United Nations at the opening of this first ever United Nations World Data Forum. This is, as I said before, exciting and historic opportunity. I would like to begin by thanking the government of South Africa, Statistics South Africa, and the city of Cape Town for hosting this great event. In particular, I would like to thank His Excellency, the President, His Excellency, the Minister, and the Madam Mayor of the city, whose representative is among us, and also Mr. Bhatti, the Secretary General. I hesitate to say that because so many hesitate to say Secretary Generals. Secretary General of Statistics South Africa, for all their efforts to ensuring that this forum is a success. And of course, I'm particularly pleased that this first global forum is taking place here in Africa. Distinguished guests, I sincerely appreciate the numerous partners, international agencies, and donors who have supported the participation of many speakers and delegates in this forum. Allow me to highlight the generous support of the government of China, which enabled chief statisticians from 40 developing countries to be part of this forum. My department, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA, has supported global development since the inception of the United Nations. In particular, through its Statistics Division and the Statistical Commission, it has for the past 70 years taken the lead in building the global statistical system. We celebrated this just over a year ago when the global official statistical community came together for World Statistics Day 2015. We have with us over 1,500 participants representing governments, national statistical offices, international and regional organizations, civil society, academia, and the private sector. This is a testimony to increasing levels of collaborating together and the unprecedented number of new initiatives and approaches for the improvement of data production and utilization. In my view, this is the United Nations at its best, using its convening power to invite people to come together and working jointly on global solutions. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for having heard this call and for joining us here in the spirit of true cooperation. The United Nations World Data Forum is a milestone among the important United Nations events that seeks to ensure the full implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, to improve the lives of people and ensure the future of our planet. The United Nations Conference on Financing for Development in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, set out a roadmap for financing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The United Nations Conferences of Parties agreed to a landmark accord to combat climate change in Paris, France, which served as a health insurance policy for our planet. The third United Nations Conference on Small Island Developing States in Samoa agreed upon the Samoa Pathway, which captures a broad range of challenges facing SIDS and sets forth in a concise and focused manner the priorities of SIDS and the commitments to specific actions. In order for the world to be able to follow these new paths and ensure that the progress reaches all people everywhere, we need high quality, relevant, timely, and fully disaggregated data and statistics. Talking about disaggregated data and statistics, why they're so important, I think you sitting here know much better than me. Take the SDG 1, for example, eradication of extreme poverty. We come to a given country, we know maybe 1 million people still struggling under the extreme poverty line. If you are satisfied with that figure, it's okay. But if you want to help them, this information simply is not good enough. As I said to the minister, we need to have disaggregated information. For instance, how many of the people within the 1 million still remain poor because of a physical disability. And how many of them, they are still poor because of lack of education. They simply cannot read and write. And how many of them living in harsh natural conditions, no matter how hard they work, they cannot become prosperous. If you have this kind of information, I think the governments and the policymakers will have focused solutions to people in each of the group. So we are waiting for our statisticians to do more to help the implementation of sustainable development. Since the adoption of the new development agenda, we have already seen unprecedented mobilization to promote better data for all, with all stakeholders contributing new tools and ideas and national statistical systems, embarking in an important process of modernization in order to address the new challenges. A lot remains to be done. Data gaps remain significant in all countries, and in particular in those with fewer resources. The share of official development assistance dedicated to data collection hovered around a merely 0.3% between 2010 to 2013. The births of nearly 1/4 of children under the age of 5 worldwide has never been recorded. We need to do more, and we need to do better. The next 3 days present a unique opportunity for experts from different fields to do the following. First, discuss ways to strengthen the linkages across different data ecosystems. 2, to launch new partnerships and initiatives for innovation. 3, to identify solutions to harness the power of data for the public goods and the implementation of the Agenda 2030. And 4th, promote consensus on strategies to address data governance and other policy issues. We expect important outcomes from this first UN World Data Forum, including the launch of a global action plan for sustainable development data and increased political and resource support for statistical capacity building. I do look forward to the coming 3 days and to furthering the discussions on how we can ensure that the data and the statistics needed are available to see the goals of a 2030 agenda become a reality for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hu Hongbo, the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations. They gave you an applause. I want to ask for another one. I can assure you the second applause was heard in New York. We gather here when our world leaders meet again. Firstly, we'll be meeting very soon at the United Nations Statistics Commission. After that, our world leaders will be meeting again at the UNGA, and in different regions of the world, our ministers and our presidents, heads of state and government will be meeting, and as they meet, they will echo the messages that we are taking from here. So when Mr. Wu takes back the message to New York, they will say we had the applause. The SG of South Africa, the Statistician General of South Africa, has a responsibility. When Stefan came here, Mr. Swine first from the United Nations, he said he wants to introduce his boss. Now, Mr. Statistician General, you have to come and deal with introductions that are so difficult and much more complex in terms of protocol for the program director to deal with. The stage is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to yourself Minister Jeff Radebe. Probably I could say, Minister, you are introduced. It is very difficult to do that because when we have a moment with him for a few minutes, he says a lot of things that are very interesting. And I think you need to be privy to some of those in order to understand the Honorable Minister I'm introducing. Minister Jeff Radebe currently holds the position of Minister in the Presidency, responsible for planning, monitoring, evaluation, and administration in the government of the Republic, in the administration of the Republic of South Africa. He's also the chairperson of the National Planning Commission. Among others, he heads the policy unit of the African National Congress, the ruling party he belongs to, and is a member of both the East National Executive Committee as well as the National Working Committee. He's a member of the Central Committee of the South African Communist Party. Previously, he has been Minister of Public Works, 1994 to 1999. He muses about the knowledge base in government when he was the Minister of Public Works. His was to find out what is the property portfolio in government. The official responsible was enthusiastic and started collating the information. After a week or so, as he stepped in the office, the minister was confronted by trolley on trolley of files, a mountain of paper from which anyone who could have suffocated. He asked the official, what are these mountains of files for? The official said, Minister, those are the property portfolio of government. Well, the minister had a different plan. Within a short period of time, he had produced a CD-ROM on which government portfolio depended, whereby search, retrieval, and analysis was made possible. He had then, as early as 1994, 1999, introduced a data revolution in public works. What happened to the official, I'm sure you can ask the minister. I'm not going to volunteer that information. Later, Honorable Radebe became Minister of Public Enterprises, 1999 to 2004, then Minister of Transport, 2004 to 2009, and most recently, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, or more recently, Acting Minister of Health, 2006-2007. He is the longest-serving cabinet minister, having served as minister since 1994 under President Mandela, President Thabo Mbeki, President Kgalema Motlanthe, and currently under the incumbent President Jacob Zuma. So he has seen Madiba, he has seen Zizi, he has seen Bakone, he's seen Msholozi. Minister Radebe holds a B.Juris degree from the University of Zululand, obtained in 1976, LLM International Law from Leipzig University, obtained in 1981, and studied at the Lenin International School, Moscow, in 1985. Minister Khadebe is the minister responsible for statistics. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together and welcome the address of Honorable Khadebe. Minister, you have your floor.
Thank you, Paddy. The director of the program, Risenga Maluleke, the Undersecretary of the UN DESA, Mr. Wu Hongpo, His Excellency Michael Gerber, the Special Envoy for Global Sustainable Development, Mr. Stefan Schweinfest, Director of UN Statistics Division, Dr. Mphahlele, Stats SA Council, Dr. Paddy Lehohla, Statistician General of South Africa, the MEC from Gauteng, Mamabulo, Ms. Zenthia Limbeck, the member of the Mayoral Council in the city of Cape Town, distinguished dignitaries, members of the diplomatic corps, non-governmental organizations that are present here today, statistics, fraternity, and sorority, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to convey fraternal greetings from the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Jacob Zuma, who could not be here this afternoon due to pressing state responsibilities. In his absence, I have the honor and the privilege of addressing this august occasion. It is a rare occurrence that one gets to be in the company of global experts who are entrusted with the measurement of every facet of life. The hosting of this very important gathering, the United Nations World Data Forum on African soil, is of great international significance as it focuses on sharpening the tools for the use of new technology and the deployment of advanced techniques in the world. I'm pleased also that I am on safe home ground advantage, flanked by the Statistician General, Dr. Lehohla, and his regiment of experts from Stats SA. We're also pleased that our country, South Africa, was chosen as the host of this important forum. This gesture is an affirmation of the capability of our country and the African continent to host such a very important global occasion. This gathering also takes its baton from other summits that we have hosted as the African continent, notably the World Summit on Sustainable Development, the WSSD, in Johannesburg in 2002, as well as the 56th session of the International Statistical Institute held in Durban in 2009. The Johannesburg World Sustainable Development followed on the Stockholm and Rio de Janeiro summits, which we all know the impact that they've had on the manner the world attends to matters of development that now can look back and hope to achieve development. Working in a balanced manner, the world can now look back and hope to achieve development through the three pillars of the 2002 World Summit on Sustainable Development, namely economic development, social development, and environmental protection. Therefore, sustainability is progressive, and only sound policies can attain development. Sound policies cannot achieve sustainability without measurement tools and good measurement. The world has never known any other form of measurement without data since the invention of counting as a tool for the humankind. Today, data has become so critical in our daily lives that we hardly ever notice its use in every facet of our lives. It has become like an oxygen that we all breathe. The only time we realize that we have a challenge is when it is no longer available. Program Director, it is hard to imagine how our forebears had to contend over a millennia with the notion of what world they could have lived us as we have come to inherit us today. The only way we can imagine how the world would look like in the future is through the data that is at our disposal today. The quest for good life, the quest for greener pastures has forced humankind to always search for innovative, necessary, and attendant mechanisms to make life as palatable. We know that species that have failed to adapt to new environments or to prevailing challenges in their surroundings have always become obsolete. It is encouraging, therefore, that the practitioners of data and information in the world have deemed it fit to meet from time to time, as is presently the case in this gathering, to assess their relevance in providing data to the world at play. The work of those like us in Polkal office must be complemented by the expertise of technocrats like yourselves who provide the necessary indicators. As political leaders, we define the what should be measured, while those of you as experts in measuring the define of how it should be measured. We should further be within our remit to direct those who measure to take the agenda further while protecting its integrity, to share information about the feasible policy options that are there. In that way, we will ensure that institutions of state provide a stable framework for governance with anticipation that reduces uncertainties and structures collective action. Distinguished delegates, I'm told that the French military strategist and political leader, Napoleon Bonaparte, liked statistical data to such an extent that he would do anything for anyone who gave him statistics. Not only did he like statistics, he had no patience with mediocre statisticians. He tended to prefer those who would give him specific, focused information for purposes of conscription, requisitions, taxes, and wartime management of the economy. I suppose many of us would do anything for anyone who would give us the winning lottery numbers. In our part of the world, here in Southern Africa, we had the majestic King Shaka, who founded the Zulu nation, who, despite the fact that he could neither read nor write, had passion for statistical information. He would always pester his trusted military general, Mbopha Kasitai, to regale him from time to time about the multitudes of people in the Zulu kingdom who were like the number of hair strands in a buffalo skin, the pebbles of sand at sea, or the number of stars in the sky. It is therefore very clear that in our modern society, effective governance is almost impossible without statistics, as they provide essential information about our populace. Nations bestow the reins of independence to those who exercise their charge with the highest levels of integrity, to discharge their duties with national interest at heart. The United Nations fundamental principles of official statistics enjoined us to remember that in the area of official statistics, independence, integrity means that the National Statistical Office and its products should not suffer under political influence. To be charged with such a responsibility means that those in such a public office must always ensure that the numbers they produce should meet the veracity of the test of time. This test of time cannot be defined only by the scientific prescripts, but also by how much we have changed the lives of our people for the better. Distinguished delegates, a great son of Africa and the former president of Tanzania is credited with this famous statement, and I quote, "You cannot develop people, you must allow people to develop themselves. If real development is to take place, the people have to be involved," close quote, Julius Nyerere. True freedom prevails only when leaders and those they lead agree on the rules of governance, no matter what the arrangements may be. The people of Brittany, an erstwhile cultural region in northwestern France, just before the Great French Revolution, once called upon the king to ensure that justice prevailed, stating that we express our most sincere desire for but one king, one law, one weight, and one measure. We have always known in the developing world that whenever the stakes are high, the function of statistics will be called into action. The colonization of Africa and other parts of the world has seen the deployment of statistics where numbers even trumped methods to justify the oppressive and divisive edifice that was at construct. Colonization was not only a political construct, but a social and economic construct that derived from the violent discourse to a hegemonic assimilation of even ideas and control of knowledge, as we saw here in South Africa. The rolling back of the colonial outreach has seen the use of statistics to justify the emergence of new nations the world over. And 2 years after our democracy in South Africa in 1994, this beloved country conducted its first ever census under a democratic dispensation. On the 20th of July 1998, on the occasion of the launch of Census 96 result, our icon, Nelson Mandela, which you saw on the screen shortly, reminded us, and I quote, "The census itself was one of the defining milestones in building our new nation. It will take time to absorb the full detail of this intricate picture of our complex society, but the broad outlines should act as a clarion call to rededicate ourselves in every sector of our society to the historic mission of a generation charged with transforming South African society in order to eradicate the poverty and the imbalances that derive from our past," close quotes. Our people all over the world are yearning for a meaningful life. Newspaper article on Monday, the 9th of January 2017, carried a story of a young man, Goundo Wandianga, from Sare Bakari village in Casamance in Senegal. Only 21 years old, Goundo laments that he is the last young man left in his village when all others are gone as far as Europe in search of greener pastures. For those of us in charge of policy directives, and those of you who are charged of measurement. We need to inspire young people like Gondo with hope. We need to ensure that the people that we lead are able to reach their fullest potential in life. The Sustainable Development Goals enjoins us on the hip so that no one can be left behind like that young man, Gondo. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the major developments on the African continent was the adoption of Africa's Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. This elaborate program can only succeed if we all put our shoulders to the wheel. I cannot imagine how Agenda 2063, with its inherent strategies like the integration agenda and the industrialization strategy, can succeed without solid measurement regime. A successful Agenda 2063 forms part of the post-2015 development agenda. We will recall that the post-2015 development agenda takes us forward within the context of sustainable development goals. So, our own national programs in South Africa, we take pride in its comprehensive National Development Plan, our NDP, which has gained support across all political parties within our multi-party democratic system, as well as within civil society. We expect the National Development Plan to deliver substantive results by year 2030. That way, our country, South Africa, will stake her claim within the world stage of development. Ladies and gentlemen, those of us in public office have to make our governments more accessible, more accountable to the people that they represent. Open government cannot succeed without data that is freely available, that is accessible to all its citizens. This way, the common men and women will continue to be meaningful beyond the data through which we present them. Numbers will form the bedrock of a better life for all. Technological innovations will always happen to challenge our thinking and also usher in a new order. The world is currently seized with the need for faster data on our fingertips all the time. The proliferation of tablets, smartphones, and other electronic gadgets makes it ever possible to collect data and process it instantly. A happy user, a satisfied customer, means that they will be back again for more and better data, even in advanced form. The challenge, therefore, for those like you in the areas of official statistics is how you can turn your organizations around to meet the needs of all clients. Let those who have waited for too long for information have a positive impact on their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this moment on behalf of Stats SA to confer awards in recognition of the exceptional contribution that have been made by many individuals in the field of statistics. Without any further ado, I would like to announce that Ms. Amina Mohammed, who is the current Deputy Secretary General of the UN, Ms. Catherine Wallman, the current Chief Statistician in the US Office of Management and Budget, Professor Enrico Giovannini, a distinguished academic in the field of economics and statistics, Professor Hans Rosling, a distinguished health professional who has gone to develop a software that makes statistics interesting by use of animation. I would like to congratulate all those that have been mentioned today. Thank you. I do trust that this gesture by State SA will encourage all of you to work even harder in your area of work so that your contribution can be duly recognized. Let me wish you well on your deliberations over the next few days, and may we all witness more gatherings of the World Data Forum in the future. I thank you. You are most welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Jeff Radebe, the Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of South Africa, responsible for planning, monitoring, evaluation, and administration, a responsibility that places him in charge of statistics, and therefore the boss to the statistician general, and my boss too. I need to tell them this story, Minister, that you know hunger. Minister knows hunger, to go without food. Not because food was not there, by choice, when he went on hunger strike to prevail on the apartheid government to do justice to the masses of South Africa and those of the world. And that happens when he was on Robben Island with Nelson Mandela and other political leaders who were incarcerated there. If I didn't tell them this story, Minister, those of us who are in charge of measurement would never know how to measure. You will remember I sent the young learners to go out and eat. Now, because the learners are very smart, they tell us that they want to know how much we know to measure with samples and do estimations for the population. So they've sent 2 of them back here. The rest are out there eating. But the 2 they have sent back have responsibilities. And these responsibilities have to do with what Minister has announced in terms of the awards. But for purposes of those announcements, I will request the Minister and the Statistician General of South Africa to remain on stage while Mr. Wu leads Mr. Stefan Swinefirst and Ms. Lindbergh back to their positions. Mandla, ensure that they are led back to their positions so that we can perform this matter of the awards. Dumisa, assist with Mr. Wu back to his station where they were with Mr. Van Swine first. There's no harm. The young learners want to shake hands with Mr. Wu as he goes down. Shake his hand, feel free. That's data revolution. Now, the Statistician General of South Africa, I'm going to ask you to come to the stage and deal with the citations while I request the Minister to come and stand nearer to yourself so that as you do so, read the citations, the learners bring the trophies to you, Statistician General, to hand over to the Minister so that we can deal with the awards. But I don't see the recipients here, so I have to be sure that the recipients are nearer. I've been given assurances that the recipients will be nearer. So I'm asking the recipients to be standing just nearer. Dumisa, you stand there and manage the recipients. So I ask that you allow me to be a dictator at times. So Dumisa, you stand there and you manage the recipients so that the statistician general reads the citations and the young learners bring the necessary trophies and we deal with the awards. Statistician General, over to you.
Thank you, Program Director. We knew that not all recipients will be here, but we've asked Jennifer Park to come and be here from the US. Jennifer, where are you? Don't hide now. Are you there, Jennifer? Ola Rosling, you have to be here on behalf of your dad. Alternatively, your wife will have to be here. Ola. Ola is not here, and on behalf of the United Nations, I'm sure you have arranged who would come forward. I can see that Francesca, it looks like you are getting ready for that. Who? Okay. All right. We have these 4 recipients that the minister has mentioned. And we'll start with Ms. Catherine Wallman. Ms. Catherine Wallman has been a United States statistician located in the Office of Management and Budget, and indeed has served as the chief statistician of the US for a very long time, since 1992. She provided guidance, coordination, and oversight for the federal statistics system of the United States. In 1983, she was elected as a fellow of the American Statistical Association. She was the president of the American Statistical Association in 1992 and chairman of the United States, or rather, and she was chair of the United Nations Statistics Commission. For her contribution in the statistics system of the world, Minister, we request that you confer the Isibalo Award to Kathy Wallman, who has now retired from service in the United Nations. And our team is here to take the award. Team, we come here. Thank you, Minister. This is Mr. Tim Trainer on behalf of Ms. Wallman. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much. Thank you. The second person who is deserving of this award is Ms. Amina Mohammed, who has just been appointed the Deputy Secretary of the United Nations. She is currently, as she winds down her work, she is the Minister for Environment in Nigeria. She was the Special Envoy to Mr. Ban Ki-moon on Sustainable Development Goals. She came to South Africa for the outreach on Sustainable Development Goals and measurement. She has been a very influential person in Nigeria. Perhaps that is the good reason, or for that reason, the new Secretary General has to appoint Dr. Amina Mohammed to be the Deputy Secretary General. For the contribution that she has made, in particular for the SDGs, and coming to South Africa, Mr. Minister, we would like you to award to Ms. Amina Mohammed the Isibalo Award. Ms. Francesca Perucci has received the award. Now, The third awardee of the Isibalo Awards is Professor Hans Rosling. Professor Hans Rosling has been poking fun at statisticians, has been very effective in that space since 1998, 2000, talking about statisticians revealing the beauty of statistics. I invited him here to South Africa in 2006, and we went throughout the country, looking at different environments, including how data is collected. And he said, man, it's a difficult task. Now, why don't you make it visible? In 2007, after the community survey of South Africa, we are not able to make this visible. But in 2011, from the census, we are able to make our data visible. Professor Hans Rosling can be credited to unveiling, and he says so in his own words, the beauty of statistics. May I request Ola Rosling to come and take this award on behalf of his father, or the wife to Ola. Ola, where are you? He's not here, but there is the grand award. Finally, I want to call upon Professor Enrico Giovannini. Professor Enrico Giovannini, in his time, he served at the OECD. But in that position, he has been very, very, very active in the statistics community, encouraging us to recognize the Wikipedias, thinking about the future while digging very deep in the past in the area of knowledge. He can be credited to the series of knowledge, statistics, knowledge series, I've forgotten the other part, but and policy, which is a series of the OECD. At some point, I was talking to Martin that it will be hosted here in South Africa, and we are negotiating that. Indeed, through those programs of knowledge, of statistics, knowledge, and policy, we have seen a transformation of statistics. He became the head of statistics in his own country, in Italy, and when he also became a politician as the Minister of Labor in Italy after running a statistics office. So there is future for us as statisticians. He has been the chair of the UN Secretary General panel on data revolution. He was our chair, and he provided and led us in the report on data revolution, the world that counts. For those reasons and many other reasons, may I call upon Professor Enrico Giovannini to the stage to receive the Isibalo Award.
Thank you, the Statistician General and the Minister. Statistician General, you don't just let the Minister walk without me taking charge of the program. The informality of measurement, SG, doesn't work like that. Policymakers have a way in which they manage policy. Minister, may I allow you and the SG to go back to your seats? It's quite interesting what the Statistician General did. Measurement has a lot of things that occur in the back room. Policy gets managed, and it has to be in the public space all the time. So the minister, for him to leave from the stage it has to be publicly announced. That's how policies work. Yet the way in which we deal with the mechanizations of data and computers in the back room, oh, quite interesting. But again, thank you again, Minister and the Statistician General, for having dealt with the issue of awards. Let me, at this point in time, thank you again, Minister. Before we started this program and before I ushered you in, I had repeatedly announced your name, and all the people in attendance of the first UN World Data Forum gave me assurances that by the time we finish this program, they will be able to spell your name and surname. Now, I can see by the smiles, Minister, that they can be able to do so. Again, the United Nations Under-Secretary General, Mr. Hu Hongbo, I received the same assurances. And they said that not only will they be able to spell your name, when you have actually dealt with matters of policy from all over the whole world and handed them as statisticians and people who deal with data and computers, they will be able to measure. So you can expect more at the next session of the United Nations Statistics Commission. That is the 48th session coming quite soon. Mr. Stefan Schweinfest, I've been told that there's even a lot more work for you to collate the data of the world based on what the national statistics offices are saying. And of course, Mr. Michael Gerber, the special envoy on sustainable development, I'm told that sustainability can only occur if there are more data fora taking place in the world. Ms. Lindbergh, I'm told that if we are asked to come back to Cape Town, you will host us. And if you cannot host us, there are so many cities in South Africa that you would be willing within the city networks to ask us to go to. On that note, I would like to announce that there is a cocktail, or there are cocktails arranged in the tables outside of the main doors. But before we go to the cocktails, I'm advised that there are people who have walked in here without registering, and registration closes at 2000. Minister, you can have assurances to take to the president that these people who are here, they measure. There were 2,300 people who had registered to attend the first UN World Data Forum. At some stage, there were 347 people who had been accredited. And I said, no, that number doesn't sell. That was in the morning of yesterday. And the numbers were going. And it's like when you're sitting there, Minister, looking at election numbers coming, as people who deal with policy. The numbers were rising. And at some stage, we were sitting at 938. And again, we were sitting at 1,213. So if more people go and gain their accreditation after this, we will have more numbers guaranteed for accreditation. That's measurement. Now, the minister has told me, so is Mr. Wu, that they like the way we measure. But they are not interested in how much we are counting, because we count one by one so that nobody is left behind. So they would like to take leave of us. So if we allow them, Mandla, where are you? if we allow them to take leave of us at this point in time, those of you who are seated along this corridor, Minister always promises me. That's my minister. He tells me, Risenga, I'm a public representative. I don't walk quietly without shaking the hands of the people. And those who have an opportunity, the camera people must make sure they are lined up here. Because he would never have been a politician if he cannot shake the hands of the people he leads. Minister, you take lead of us. Let's allow Minister and Mr. Hu to step out first, and then we will step out. Let's allow Mr. Hu and Minister. Please be comfortable so Minister and Mr. Hu take leave of us. Please allow that. And again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please enjoy the cocktails for this evening. And don't forget to go and deal with your accreditation before 2000. I thank you again.